Will a shocking phone call to a secret lover tip the scales in the case of a Utah murder suspect named Jennifer Gledhill? She's a mother of 3 as well, and she was in court on Friday for her bail hearing. She's accused of killing her husband, Matthew Johnson. He was found dead last year as he was sleeping in their $1 million home near Salt Lake City, Utah. In court, the prosecutor noted a phone call between Gledhill and her lover. Listen to this.
Right before the defendant reported Matthew missing, the informant recorded a phone call with the defendant. And rather than playing it here, I just want to summarize some points and what is recorded on that recording. In the phone call, the defendant apologizes for telling the informant about what happened. She tells him to not think of her as a monster and to remember her who she was before she opened her mouth. And the informant tells the defendant that he was frightened by what she had told him. And then the informant, and I quote, says to her, hypothetically, if the roles were reversed and I did something to someone and I told you that I carried it out, like, you would be shocked and scared, wouldn't you? And the defendant responds, quoting, well, not if I deserved it. I always preached that I was like the Queen of Hearts in my past lives because I'm like off with their heads. I'm like, if we could just round up the scum of this earth and put them on an island or just kill them all, I could shipshape this country back into a good place. Now then, even in that phone call, she starts claiming that this is just a hypothetical situation. However, she tells, and I quote the informant, I think that the fact that you got scared of me, that part, it broke my heart, because I was like, wow, if you think I could even hurt a fly, like he's not a person. He wasn't a person anymore. He wasn't Matt anymore. And what's key from that recording is at this point, Matt hadn't been reported missing, yet the defendant was referring to him in the past tense.
Now, Johnson's body has never been found. The judge denied bail for her. What about that phone call, though? Let's talk about the phone call. Is that going to tip the scales of justice? I think so. Let's bring back in our legal eagles, Kirk Nurmi and Tommy Pope. Let's get your thoughts on this. Tommy, you first, please. What do you think?
Well, you know, in a bail situation, it's risk of flight, danger to the community, and clearly, if whatever it is she's told this informant who she had a relationship with, it clearly enhanced a potential danger. Now, I've got to believe the defense knew about this before today, and so I'm sure they're planning, you know, whether suppression motions or cross-examination of the supposed informant. I'm sure they're not caught flat-footed on that.
Right, Tommy. Kirk, to you next, please. How do you think this phone call is going to play as the case progresses?
Well, you know, female killers are an interesting breed, Julie. Someday we have to talk about it more extensively. But, you know, this phone call leads me to believe, rather than worried about bail, she better get comfortable spending the rest of her life in prison. She better start adjusting. Because the justifications and things like that, this is probably the tip of the iceberg here. It seems like this is going to be a real solid case against her. So I think if I'm right that this is a tip of the iceberg, this is going to be a pretty cut and dried case for the prosecution. Right, Kirk. Yeah, she sits there just looking like she's unbothered. I mean, what an arrogant attitude. You know, her poor husband, there's poor kids now. I mean, this is just awful. I have a clip from her defense attorney. This is her counsel responding to the allegations at this juncture here at the bail hearing. Let's take a look.
The two biggest factors that cut against the state's requirement of substantial evidence are the lack of a body and lack of a murder weapon. Mr. Johnson is a highly trained Special Forces officer with several tours of combat under his belt and is equipped with abilities your standard citizen simply does not have. These abilities and experiences give multiple explanations and possibilities that have nothing to do with Ms. Gledhill as it relates to his disappearance. Further, Your Honor, the lack of confirming evidence, I would argue the lack of confirming evidence on items allegedly disposed of by Ms. Gledhill is another cut against the state's requirement of substantial evidence.
All right, so we're going to see more from this hearing. You're going to get to watch all of it on Court TV Live today. 6 p.m. is the time we're going to start playing it back, so get ready. It's going to be quite an interesting hearing to watch. And as we get ready for Court TV Live to begin at 9 a.m., we're going to say goodbye, but not goodbye forever, just goodbye for now to our wonderful friend and regular legal analyst on Opening Statements, Kirk Nurmi. So as many of you know, we're headquartered in the East here at Court TV, and Kirk lives in Arizona out west, and with daylight saving time, the switcheroo is going to happen on Sunday, and so it's going to be a little too early to wake up the next couple months. But Kirk, you'll be back in the fall, right? We can count on that, and maybe some Court TV Live appearances.
You bet, Julie. It's been a blast, and I look forward to seeing you and Tommy, your smiling faces, back in the fall.